Hello, everyone. I'm Dr. Randall Bell. This is Dr. Elizabeth Lombardo, Dr. E. So glad you're here. You know, at Core IQ, we talk about all the life skills we need to have, but we're not often taught in school. Things like, you know, stress management, negotiation, time management, goal setting, all this kind of stuff. But going to stress is a big thing. So Dr. E is here to talk about stress very directly, what it's all about, but more importantly, what we can do specifically to kind of get out of those stressful moments. So let's get right into it.
Let's jump into stress.
Yes.
Yeah. First of all, let's talk about why stress is important to address. Because chronic stress impacts every single facet of our life in a negative way. So from our bodies, we know that our immune system doesn't work as well. We can't fight off infection. When in our relationships, I don't know about you, but when I'm stressed out, I'm not all that pleasant to be with, right? So it impacts our relationships. A stressed brain cannot function as well. We're not as productive, as creative, as effective at work. So there's a lot of reasons why stress management is important. So let's look at stress. I like to think of stress as being on a continuum. And when I talk about stress, I'm talking about distress, that stress that we don't want. And it's anything from anger, frustration, overwhelm, anxiety, sadness, hopelessness, helplessness, worthlessness. All of that in psychology we call distress.
I never once put that connection between stress and distress.
Yeah. Because there's also something called eustress. Eustress is the positive stress, right? So like you're getting excited for a vacation, but it's kind of stressful, or a marriage, or for some people a divorce. You know, I'm not suggesting that, but you know, kind of that excitement where you have a lot going on. So we're talking about distress. Distress is on a continuum from 0 to 10.
Okay.
So 0 is no distress at all. 10 is the most distressed you've ever been.
Okay.
And if you think about it, over the course of your day, when you first wake up, what number of distress do you think you have?
Me?
Well, yeah, or just, you know, just kind
every
of
day's
thinking about
different.
it.
You know, sometimes I wake up and it's like 0 stress.
Yeah.
And sometimes I wake up and it's like, oh man, I wish I hadn't woken up because the day in front of me is very stressful.
I think I'm going to go back to sleep for a couple hours. Yeah. So whether it's the first thing in the morning or when you first get to work or school or when you're interacting with someone who causes you some frustration, when you get home, you notice that your level of distress fluctuates. It changes according to what you're doing, according to how you're feeling, according to who you're with.
Okay.
And why it's important to realize your level of distress is this. When you're at a lower level of distress, we tend to use this part of our brain called the frontal lobe. The frontal lobe is what differentiates us from other animals.
Okay.
Right? So it allows us to engage in what we call executive functioning, problem solving. We can see all different perspectives. As we go higher on the distress scale, we go from seeing everything to seeing more and more negative. So when you're in that red zone from 7 out of 10 or higher, you tend to think more negatively.
Okay.
And in fact, instead of using your frontal lobe, we tend to use more the limbic system, the emotional reasoning, the fight or flight. So we actually don't always think rationally when we're in the red zone. I always tell all my coaching clients, if you're in the red zone, don't let anything out of your mouth. Because that's when we say things we later regret. And don't put anything in your mouth, because that's when we tend to emotionally eat.
You're packing a lot of information in there.
Okay, so here's what we want to talk about when we're talking about stress management.
Okay.
There's 2 ways to manage stress. There's proactively, which means there's just certain things that you're going to do during your day to keep your stress down. And then there's reactively. When you notice that you're at a 5 or higher, I want you to stop and do something healthy and helpful to reduce that stress.
Okay.
Now we have some ideas here. These are not the only things that you can do. And what you want to remember is you really want to have a toolbox filled with stress management techniques. So I like to give the example, if you were building a home and you had a hammer, and it is literally the best hammer in the world, you can't build a house with just a hammer, right? You need a lot of different tools. Same thing when it comes to stress management. So for some people, for example, let's say taking a warm bath really helps reduce their stress. But if they're stressed out at work and they're about to give a presentation, you can't be like, hold on, just give me 20 minutes. I'm just going to run out and take a quick bath. It doesn't work. So we want to make sure we have a whole toolbox filled.
Okay.
The other thing to remember is you want to write down the tools, the stress management techniques that work for you. You want to have them, whether it's on your phone or a piece of paper, and carry it with you. And the reason is when we get into that red zone, the 7 or higher, we don't always think rationally. It's hard for us to say, you know what would be really helpful for me right now is to take a deep breath.
Right.
Right? And so you want to have that kind of as a cheat sheet so it's there, ready, available.
You know, it's amazing you mentioned this, the breathing thing, because with the volunteer work at the prison, you know, very serious situations, and I'm astounded at how much they are into the breathing.
Yes.
You start every class by breathing exercises. And, you know, when childbirth, which I have not been through, but, you know, seeing that as a lot of stress, I can't imagine. And it's all about breathing and Lamaze. I mean, the breathing thing alone is a biggie.
It's very powerful.
Yeah.
So our breath can determine our mood. I don't suggest you doing this, but I will tell you, if you take short, shallow breaths, really quick like that, especially if you do it through a straw, for some reason that makes it even worse, you can actually induce or cause a panic attack.
Really?
Yes. I do not recommend doing that at home. Luckily, the opposite is true too. When we use our diaphragm, when we take deep breaths, it actually allows us to reduce our stress. And the reason why stress reduction is so important is two things. One, we know that stress can be harmful, right? But the other thing is, you know, some people say, well, a couple deep breaths, that's not going to change the situation. It may not change the situation, but if it gets us out of the red zone, then we can be more into problem solving. And then we can figure out a better way to do it, because then we're using our frontal lobe, we're using our rational brain.
You know, you won't believe this, but I swear it's true. Driving to the hotel to get you this morning, I normally have kind of a ritual in the morning where I'd have breathing exercises and grounding and all this kind of stuff. I didn't have time to do it this morning. And so I just said, you know, I'm going to take 10 deep breaths. And I was doing my 10 deep breaths, and then I got this distracting, stressful thought, and I got to about 6 or 7, and it's like, I can't even get to 10. You know, just driving without being distracted. There's distractions everywhere.
Yes.
And then I thought, okay, I'm really going to do it. I did it, and the stress really came down.
It really does. Yeah.
But it's funny how just 10 seconds for 10 deep breaths, sometimes that's even hard to do by itself.
Yes, yes. But the good thing is that you went back to it.
Yeah.
Right? And that's really the key. You know, sometimes people say, well, I don't have 90 minutes to go to a yoga class. Okay, can you take 5 deep breaths? Because that will be helpful too. So we're not looking at perfection. We're looking at ways that we can integrate this into your life.
Is there like a magic number with number of breaths? I mean...
Not that I know of.
Okay, so 10's okay?
10's okay. 1 is better than nothing, right? So anything. And the beauty is you can do this anywhere.
Okay.
Right? You can be having a conversation. You can be driving. You can be at a restaurant. Anything that you're doing. You can be in an exam. And you can always have those deep breaths. And that's why we want to have a bunch of things on your list.
So let's talk about some of the other ones.
So nature.
Okay.
Nature for some people can be very stress reducing. And not only that, but research shows that even looking at nature, like a picture of nature, can reduce your stress. So people maybe who live in the city or who aren't able to get outside, even just having a cue of nature can be helpful.
It's funny you say that, because outside our window right here, we have this stunning ocean view. And I did that on purpose. The space is expensive, and we could have gotten bigger space a little inland. And I never knew the science behind it, but I just know looking at the ocean, I tend to be more productive.
Yeah.
That's my thing. Or a lake, or a river,
Yeah.
or a picture. You know, having these pictures of Thailand. I come in here, you know, with business things, I look at the pictures and it just kind of brings it down. Is that kind of on track with what you're saying?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
So good stuff.
Yeah.
Push-ups. If you can't do a push-up, that's okay. Exercise. I call exercise non-pharmacological Xanax.
No kidding.
Which that's just an anti-anxiety medication. The research is overwhelming on the power of exercise. Again, you don't have to go to an expensive gym. You don't even have to go to the gym. You could do push-ups. You can do squats. You can jump on the bed, and that's a great thing to do. In my home office, I have one of those small personal trampolines. So when I'm having writer's block, when I'm feeling stressed out, I jump on it. My kids, when they're feeling stressed out, they will come in and jump on the trampoline. It helps them reduce their stress, and it's fun.
Yeah, on that one, I know a little bit, because it doesn't have, you don't have to turn into Charles Atlas and go to the gym for an hour and a half. A 20-minute walk physiologically changes your brain chemistry.
Yes.
Very, very powerful. Not just the way I think of things of me, we, do, be. Me is our mindset. Do is productivity and exercise. But there, you know, exercise is one of those things that correlates to every single measure of success. I surveyed over 5,000 people, and exercise every single one of those, however you want to measure success, those who exercise enjoyed more success across the board.
Yes.
It's crazy.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
What else is interesting about exercise is research shows that when you exercise, you feel better about yourself. Your self-confidence goes up, independent of how it changes your body. So it would make sense if you're losing weight, you might feel better about yourself, but just those biochemical changes help you feel better about yourself too.
Okay, so let me ask your advice. Let's say you're in a phase of life and you're not doing things so well, things are kind of rough and you're just stressing and you just think there's no way I can make to that meeting and even do a 20-minute walk. I can't do anything. What are some things you can do in those really crunch times of life?
A minute of jumping jacks, a minute of planks, push-ups, sit-ups, squats. I did teach aerobics for 20 years, so we can do a whole class on that. But any way to move your body, it does not have to be 20 minutes. The other thing to remember is that, if 20 minutes is your goal, what the research shows is if you do 5 minutes here, 10 minutes here, 5 minutes here, that's the same as doing it all together in 20 minutes.
I'm kind of mad at you because you're absolutely destroying all my excuses. Okay.
So exercise is great. Humor, laughter helps us reduce our stress. So having, in your phone, these videos that are just waiting for you, spending time with a funny friend, watching a funny movie, all of that can help reduce your stress.
So as a dad, I have 4 kids. I know you have 2 daughters. I send them hilarious text messages throughout the day. For me, it's humor. For them, I think it's stress.
I was going to say, do they think it's funny?
No, I'm adding to their stress. But at least I'm laughing.
You're laughing. So you're feeling much better. They're miserable. No, I'm just kidding.
Okay.
Humor's really powerful. Chatting with an upbeat friend. So social connections really help us reduce stress as long as it's a positive social connection. We all have people in our lives that increase our stress, so that's not what we're talking about. But spending time with a friend, with a loved one, can be a great way to reduce your stress.
Okay, so stay away from the drains and the buzz.
The toxic and the drama queens. Yes, we don't need that.
Some people just gravitate to that,
Yes.
but I don't get it. But I get it. Okay, I get your point.
Take a warm shower, right? Or a warm bath. That will help, obviously, relax you. Warmth helps relax you, gives you.
Is it somewhat warm, or can it be cold, or does it?
It depends what works for you.
Okay.
So I do not like the cold at all. I get cold in 75 degrees, so warm works for me. For people who are often overheated, then a cool bath would probably feel better.
Okay, got it.
Yeah. Listening to inspiring music, or really any music that lifts you up.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be classical music. It could be, heavy rock, whatever feels good to you. And again, having a playlist on your phone, having a playlist that's there so that when you're feeling stressed, you just hit play.
Yeah, and if you're not sure what to do, I recommend Led Zeppelin. Number 1.
That's it. All right. Jump on the bed. So there we go. So again, that exercise and having fun. Jumping brings out the kid in us. So that makes it
I haven't done that in a while. I've done the Led Zeppelin, but I'm going to try that one. What's this one?
Going for a bike ride.
Okay.
So it's exercise, but it's also nature. It's getting both of those.
I love it. Okay.
Or you can do spin class inside. Go for a walk. Same idea. You're moving your body. You're getting those biochemicals going.
Okay.
Meditate or pray.
Yeah.
So, I gotta tell you, I was in school getting my degree in psychology, and I literally wrote articles on the benefits of meditation, but I thought I couldn't do it. I'd sit down, I'd close my eyes, and be like, am I meditating? I don't think I'm meditating. I'm going to get up and do something. So for all of those people out there who have maybe tried meditation or think that they can't do it, here's what you want to remember. Meditation is just a focusing your attention. It could be focusing on your breathing. It could be focusing on a mantra. It could be listening to one of the literally millions of guided visualizations that are out there. Here's some things to remember. 1, find one that works for you. There's so many of them. 2, remember that your mind, some people think that when you meditate, you're supposed to not have your mind wander. The only time your mind doesn't wander is when you aren't breathing. And we want you to keep breathing.
Yeah.
So your mind will wander. It doesn't mean it's not working. The third thing to remember is, I remember when I was getting trained in a particular type of meditation, my instructor told me about a study. And what they did was they put the EEG feeds on the people who were meditating to look at the brain waves. And then they said, hey, how was your meditation? And even the people who said, oh, it was horrible, my mind was wandering, I was focusing on my exam or whatever it was, even they had changes in their brain waves. So even if it feels like it's not working, it is working.
Okay.
Powerful stuff.
Well, here they call it on the Eastern Society, from a little I've studied, monkey mind. Monkey mind, I guess, is stress. Your brain's just going all over the place.
Right.
And meditation is kind of offsetting that to some degree.
For sure.
Okay,
Yeah.
we're on the same page on
Yes,
that.
yeah,
Okay,
definitely.
cool.
Doodle. For some people, doodling just is really, it's stress relieving and it's a fun thing to do. Drawing, doodling.
Okay, I haven't done that one. Or jumping on the bed. I'm going to do
right.
those two.
Sleep. Sleep. Get a good night's sleep.
Yeah.
I hear clients say all the time, oh, well, when I finish all my stuff, then I'll sleep. You know, then I'll start focusing on my sleep.
Yeah.
You know when that is? When you aren't breathing. So focus on your sleep. When we are sleep deprived, I mean, what do they do to prisoners of war?
They deprive them of sleep.
Deprive them
Yeah.
of sleep. Our society is depriving themselves of sleep. Get the sleep. It is absolutely vital.
So all the studies I know you keep on top, I hear 8 hours, 7 hours. Is there a right number?
Well, yeah, 7 to 8 hours. It really depends on the individual.
Okay.
So some people do need a little more. Some people do need a little less. But scheduling it out. And I realize not everyone out there is a child. Have a bedtime. Stick to it. Have
Yeah.
a ritual so that you can wind down to get ready for bed and give yourself that gift of sleep.
You know, I absolutely hate red eyes for this reason.
Yes.
I did one a couple weeks ago. I haven't done one for years, but I had to be in Virginia or something and did a red eye. But I found that just a 20-minute cat nap, a couple cat naps
Yep.
later in the day, I kind of recharged my battery.
Napping can be very effective.
Yeah, napping and cat naps. Okay,
Yep.
well, that's
Yeah,
good.
you have
And
to.
we got one more.
Blowing bubbles. I'm laughing at this one because I did a segment once on Dr. Oz and we were talking about how to reduce stress. And at the end, everyone got a little container of bubbles and they were blowing them. And I'm on national TV and literally not a single bubble came out. Okay, not a single bubble, but that's my own issue. So the wonderful thing about blowing bubbles is, first of all, it's fun. But the second thing is you're actually engaging in deep breathing.
Oh, yeah.
So you're actually doing some of that breathing that we talked about without even realizing it.
So how'd you fix the bubble problem on Dr.
Well,
Oz?
everyone else, Dr. Oz was blowing bubbles. The entire audience was blowing bubbles. So I think that they have too many cameras.
That's
They're like, all
camera
right, forget
Okay,
Elizabeth. We'll get
okay.
the people who can really do this.
That is awesome. These are what I love about these, Dr. E, is that we have a scale we can work by. And you go to the hospital and say what level of pain is. This
Exactly.
kind of self-diagnosis. Here's a big toolbox already. There's others, but I know the big ones are here. Thanks for coming and click, like, share. Core IQ. It's all here to build our lives.